the interesting thing about the innovation that today is that for us, it's a bit going backwards. And I want to explain, but this is their thinking.
Today's guest is the expert in leisure concepts. He's international speaker and the founder of theleisureway. Please welcome to the show, Gastón Gaitán. Hello, Gastón. How are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hi, Jens. Good morning. Everything good here in Zaragoza. Thank you for inviting me to be here.
I guess the weather is slightly better than in Germany here.
Well, not today. Not today. I think it was a little bit, cloudy. It's always sunny now at this time of the year, but today it started a bit cloudy. Hopefully by noon, the sun comes and we can go for a picnic outside. We have a wonderful garden outside. So.
Nice, cool. So before we go into all the cool stories on innovation topics you're doing with your business and personally as well, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What is your story?
The short version, the long version?
Whatever you want.
Yeah, well, my name is Gastón Gaitán. I was born in Argentina in a small town called Bahía Blanca, which is about 6 hours drive from Buenos Aires, which is the capital of the city. So, and this is where I was born with a father who was an entrepreneur. So the company started himself. His business was on producing football tables. Mm. The soccer tables that we all play in bars. And this was the beginning of the story. And I had two businesses, actually. One was to manufacture and operate football tables, and then he had an ice cream factory. So it was the best combination. Everyone wanted to be my friend. And imagine for the kids at school, let's go to Gastón's factory, because there were two buildings next to each other, and we were going and playing football, and then going to the ice cream, getting from the ice cream from the factory. So for me, this was, a privilege to have that situation. Of course, I made a lot of friends. Yeah. So this is the origin. So this was where basically, what you get when you're a kid, it influences a lot. The perspective of your life. And see my father as an entrepreneur, having his own business, always, trying to develop something new. Okay, well, now we have football tables. And then he went into pool tables. And then he went into video games. And then he went into kiddie rides. And then he went into on and on, all of this, trying to create different opportunities. Business opportunities for his factory and his operation, importing, manufacturing, operating, and the same for the ice cream shops, where he was trying to do these shops where they were, trying to do always something new to attract more people to the shop. So that's it. When I was thinking, about my origins, I always tell about the story of the football table, but then I remind myself that the ice cream factory had a lot of, trying to congregate people, because back today in Argentina, the ice cream is a very important part of people's life. It's a gathering thing. It's not about the ice cream quality, which is good. It's about going to the ice cream shop with your girlfriend, with your wife, with your kids. So it's an out and go, a day out. That's why the ice cream the stores are very big. They're not just a service. There's probably I remember the store of my father was about 400 square meters. So imagine it's big. Yeah. So this is what is who I am at the end of the day. A kid, still a kid, playing in the field of business, which somehow I ended up, getting myself into businesses with the thinking of continuing this legacy of my father. He was already in something that of making people feel good. Ice cream and the football tables and pool tables and so on. So today, this is a special year for me because I'm becoming 50 years old, which I was never thought I was going to be 50 years old. It's like for me, 50 years old is like was very far away. I am more the other guy, still there in the factory, with my friends playing and so on. I was looking yesterday, actually thinking, okay, what I'm going to say today and so on. I was looking at pictures, and this is what reminds me, who I am. So this is who I am, Gastón Gaitán. Today, an entrepreneur. I probably like my father. Today, I found this company that we dedicate more or less what my father was doing with a more innovative approach, let's say. Mm. So, the trip was very, very interesting because today I'm in Spain, in a small town but it's not a small town, it's a mid-sized town called Zaragoza. So that has a lot of similarities to where I was born. I settled myself here, the weather was also very hot in the summer, very cold in the winter, with a lot of wind, and kind of I feel it somehow at home with this wind, crazy stuff. Mm. So this is who I am, and my story is of a person coming from that environment, trying to dream and change the world. This always was my appetite, not to change the world as in terms of the peace or trying to do something for the world. It's more for how to create my own world. Changing the world to try to be my world. To try to see how can I add my little spot in all of these things that are happening around me. Were happening around me, and I'm trying to see now today that it's not only me. I was able to transfer this to other people. So this is me, still the same, with a little bit more knowledge in terms of human knowledge, not what I do. I always think that what I do, I need to learn. It's like interesting. Every time a project comes, I say, how am I going to do this? How I'm going to do this? It's like the feeling that and then naturally things come. So this is the origin of Gastón coming to a foreign country. After living in several countries, I was able to live in England, and to live in the US, and to live in France, and also gave me a lot of international experience of talking to different people around the world, making connections, making friends, basically. This was my good deal. Always to make good friends to go out, good friends to do business, good friends to explore the world or whatever. So this today makes sense that on this business, which is quite international, what we do, theleisureway, or the name of our company, today we are actively doing projects in about 14 countries actively today, but in the past years, we more than 30. Some of the projects they end, and I said, okay, well, then we had the regions of myself being transferred to the business, but also the experience of going around and learning to dialogue with different cultures. Having the possibility of going into a school where the crowd was international, that was a great thing. And this is what really helps me a lot, that I fit in anywhere. I came 2 weeks ago from Riyadh. This Monday, I go to Zimbabwe. Yeah. And now I'm talking with you that you're in Germany. And then I go in the afternoon. I have 2 meetings. One with in Singapore, and the other one is in Poland, for example. So it's amazing what's going on with this possibility of being international at let's say low cost. because we are a small, fairly small company. We are about, in the theleisureway, we are close to 30 people, dedicated to, I don't know if to change the world, but at least to bring, our thoughts, the leisure thinking approach that we have into basically the real estate as a general, into the real estate environment where today we are playing the main role. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I tell you what you wanted to hear, but this is the story of Gastón playing in this business world.
Yeah, super good. I would like to go deeper in as well understanding how you came up with theleisureway as an idea and then building a business out of that. So it's really like what is the origin story of theleisureway?
Well, it's an interesting story because, as I said, first of all, I started with my family, with the factory and operations. My family had a very strong operations of all these equipment around the country. But then I went to study abroad. My father said, he always repeated me all the time, remember you told me that you never wanted to learn English. So yeah. That was the curse for him. It's like, and today he's so proud that I'm able to talk in English. It's that if you didn't speak English, you will never ever be able to do what you do. Okay, and it's true. Anyway, so what happens is, after I went, he sent me abroad to study. I came back and I went to his business, and I started to say, okay, well, Dad, we need to do this, we need to do that, because I learned so many things in school. I thought that was much more prepared, and of course already was intelligent enough to tell my father what to do. So he stayed for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, up to the point that, Gastón, I think this is not the place for you. You must go. What? Yes, I don't want you. I don't want you in my company. You're a headache for me. What do you mean? Yes. Well, if you want to change my things, I don't want to change. I am what I am, and this is a business that I know. And if you want to do the things you do it yourself. So he basically kicked me out in a good way. No, it was not in a good way, but I felt that at the time I was lost, because I was always dreaming coming back to and trying to create from the factory that I was my father to make it something big. And all of a sudden that dream was cut. He said, no, this is, my father said to me, this is my thing. Do your own baby. Play with your baby. So, and then I said, okay, how do I do this? And I was, again, in a situation I didn't know what to do. So rather than start my own business, I started to look for a job. So I was at one point about to get the job, and I went to my father, and he said, Gastón, I said, Dad, look, I'm about to start this job. What do you think? As a father. I said, yeah, it's okay, but look, Gastón, I have a situation. I have this guy who owes me money. Why don't you try to go and get this space and try to do all your ideas? I help you. Because of this. So this is what I did. At the end, I followed his guide. And in my life, this was a pattern, following his guide and many people's guides. Trying to hear what to do more than knowing myself. Everything I plan, so. When I plan for others, it works well. When I plan for me, so. When I hear other people telling me some things, somehow they're more objective. They are not, they're not conflicted with what I want. So I started to basically do a space with his own products. And at the time was an entertainment bar. Yeah. I said, okay, how can I combine fun and his products? And for me at the time, I was very young. I was 20-something. So for me, fun was going to the bar. This was for me fun. But the bars, they don't have the products of my father because they are not, they are not nice, the place and so on. So I combined the two, and it was good. It was a great combination. This was in Buenos Aires. I created a brand called TAS at the time, which was very successful. And I started to open shops. And I started to be trendy in Buenos Aires, not in my home city. And then this concept that I created which was quite cool, was spotted by a person from Cushman and Wakefield. I don't know if you know them. This is a broker, and they do many services today. And they said, "Look, you have to be in a shopping center." They kind of knocked the door, and they said, "I want to talk to the person," and I came myself, and I started to talk about the shopping center. So I said, "What is it?" Well, I was not aware of this shopping center industry at the time. And I had my entertainment bar was in the middle of the urban networks, in the middle of the city with all the cool stuff and so on. So then, at the time, the country was going under very, very strong economic crisis. So maybe I should follow this guy. So I called him and I said, "Can you arrange me a meeting with the people?" And he said, "But yes, I spotted a place for you, but it's not in Argentina. It's in Madrid." So I went to Madrid by myself into a meeting, and somehow I presented my concept that I did for me and was with the products of my father. And they loved it because it was so advanced to what they were saying, because at the time they have only two options: bowling alleys and arcade bowling alleys or cinema. This was, at the time considered, the leisure time in a shopping center. So I basically presented to them something super cool, and the guy says, "Okay, we want to do it. I have one small problem, that I didn't have enough money, or I didn't have money, to make it short, to do it." So I asked them, "Look, I want to do it, but you have to help me." So the guys, I convinced them to help me to build that business here. So all of a sudden, I'm in Madrid with a 3,000 square meter entertainment bar. Huge, the biggest that you can find. I was there with a high expectation. I was going to hit the world with this, of course, in a shopping center called Madrid Xanadu, which the important part was they were also doing a snow dome, huge snow dome of. In the process of doing the installation of my own shop, one of the partners of the project was actually there were two partners, the developer and the owner of the land. He came to me and said, "Gastón, I want to talk to you." Yes. And he said, "Look, would you be interested to help us with the snow dome?" I said, "What do you mean, to help us with the snow dome?" "Yes, I want you to be involved with us because after talking to you through the business arrangements that we did, I saw a way of thinking that I don't have in my team. This at the time leisure entertainment thinking that you're always trying to bring these flavors, and in my team, I don't have anyone thinking about this." And I said, "Yes." And I asked him, "Are you going to pay me?" "Yeah, we're going to pay you." "Very good." So yes, and I was not. So I said, "Perfect, I do it." So all of a sudden, I ended up working in a team of actually a total project, doing the real estate development that was much bigger than what I was doing as my own shop. So when I had to do the first invoice to him, he said, and I said, what do I put in the invoice? I asked him, and he said to me, "Put me leisure consultant." So I basically started to invoice as a leisure consultant. What was a leisure consultant? Who knows? But I became, from that day, a leisure consultant. Lucky enough that I did my own thing and I did for them, and I started to get calls from other people saying, we are doing a project here, and we need somebody that will help us to bring this flavor somehow. I didn't have any knowledge of how to do it. But I say yes. This is a reality. I say yes, let's do it. I wanted to be in projects. I detected that it was much more fun at the time to do projects for others than to do projects for me. Why? because when it's for you, you always have minimal budget. You're always dealing with small projects. When I was talking to the developers, the projects were much bigger. They were more interesting. They had diversity, and they have the opportunity for me to really think only about the project, not about how I'm going to finance it, how many employees I'm going to have, all this company structure. So this was really the origin of on one side, they spotted somehow, the market had spotted that they need somebody to take the issue much more serious, because nobody was taking this issue as a serious matter. And second part was because when I was doing my shop, after I finished we opened the shopping center and so on, I had my own shop, I started to struggle with the business. And I created a very cool area, much better than in Buenos Aires, but it was not working. And I started to walk around the mall every day. And what I saw, that the life was not in the shop, was in the mall, everywhere. Outside, inside, in the corridors. So this is where people engage. And it was boring to walk around, but this is where the people were. So I said, look, why don't we think clearly when they said think out of the box. So let's think out of the box, because I felt that I was in a box with my own shop. So I wanted to get out and do the things in the middle of a public area, outdoor, and this. And this is how I started to propose, because I started to explain to the clients that my business was not working because it was fit into a place that people have to really decide to have a moment there and have to go in. Second, it was too expensive. And I said, public area must be cheaper than the meters of the space of a shop, because they were comparing, this guy pays so many euros per square meter and you pay less than half and so on. And I was saying, well, I cannot pay this. So all of a sudden I went from paying, always being on the critic side because I was fighting for the rent, to say, no, let's forget about the rent. Let's leave the rent for the guys that can pay the rent, which are the retailers. Let's use this whole infrastructure, which is the whole asset, to turn it into something that is attractive, not just one little dot in the middle of a concrete mass. So, this was for me the biggest learn, because we lost money. I learned through the hard way that people, you cannot push people all the time inside of a shop. You have to follow the people, and you have to make them feel, well, from the moment that they are thinking of you at home to the moment that they're there as a physical space. So this is how, the story of the Leisure Way, the beginning. And what happens is I didn't have so many projects, so they started to call me, one guy from Romania. Oh, I have a shopping center that doesn't work, and I want to try to transform this into more of a area for people to come and have fun and so on. So I went to Romania. And then I went to Los Angeles, and I started to get calls of people like one here, one there, up to a point that I received a call from a company, at the time was British Land, was developing the biggest shopping center in Europe, which is in the city where I am, called Puerto Venezia. And they said to me, look, we're looking for a person to help us and so on, to create this leisure atmosphere, and you need to come and to live here in Zaragoza. Otherwise, we are not interested for you. And I look at my sites. I have 2 or 3 projects, but they were, slowly moving and so on. I said, look, this is an opportunity. So I basically took the plane and rent a room in a hotel. And I started to work for this project in Zaragoza, which it became then a benchmark for many people in the real estate world in terms of leisure and so on. So that helps us to start to move ourselves and to get more calls and to get the infrastructure and to get a team, full-time team, because I was in other projects, I was trying to get teams of different origins and qualities and fields to do projects, but per project. When I moved here and I had one project, at least I was able to build a team, which I kept after the project finished. I said, guys, don't worry. I have a group of. I will keep the team and I look for projects. I was crazy because imagine I had some savings and all of a sudden I'm going to rent an office. I want to have a team and no project because after Puerto Venecia, no more projects. But I said I somehow promised that I was, and I had the money. And I was lucky enough that after 10 days I received a call from another developer, and we started. So it was very lucky in this process of and very hard process, because losing money, trying to talk to people. So the regions of the Leisure Way it was a natural flow from day one in my life, where some people tell me when the Leisure Way started. For me, the Leisure Way as a dream started many, many years ago, which I was not able to accomplish, but I somehow keep it moving, the idea of trying to add this field of this leisure thinking approach into the real estate world, wherever it is, the project. So, I was brave enough, crazy enough to continue in this field and talking to people that didn't want to hear about anything about my topic. It was in the time of today, we are talking to the real estate world, but at the beginning it was only shopping centers. Today we are doing mixed-use projects, residential projects. We are doing touristic projects. We are doing even a school. We are doing now small cities and so on. But at the beginning it was a retail, and the process of the start, there was no time for this. Basically, the project had to fill the boxes, get the rents, get the rent roll, and move on. Move on to the next project. There was no room for this, thinking that we today have the opportunity to introduce. So this is how it really started, the Leisure Way, naturally from personal dream to then the opportunity in the market that today is giving us.
Yeah, brilliant story. Thank you for sharing it. So, taking all of this, now you basically work with the leaders in real estate around the world, and I would like to take a turn into how you see innovation in this space moving, and what are you doing with your business and supporting innovation in the real estate industry?
The Leisure Way, we say, listen, I'm not an expert in innovation. And, when we talk about innovation, it's always a word for us that is kind of big. You feel that the innovation is on your shoulders because if you are not an innovator, then you are a little bit out of the market. So you have to be innovative. So we say we work in innovation or we are innovated. I don't know. We'll keep trying to answer ourselves. But in terms of innovation, the Leisure Way is always trying to bring a new thinking, a new approach of doing the projects, trying to bring. But the interesting thing about the innovation that today is that for us, it's a bit going backwards. And I want to explain, but this is their thinking. The innovation terms, from a client perspective, they always want us to bring physical features, physical approach or physical strategies or things that they will make people think or feel better and so on. But as the Leisure Way company, we always try to keep to the regions of that we have to be human. We have to be sensitive. So all of a sudden, when we start to talk about these words, the human approach, the sensibility, the intuition, the elements that they are not the typical innovation frame. Somehow I feel that we are innovating more in that, because in some cases in the real estate world, they forgot and they erased that part of, the contact. They're trying to understand and go and do the work, not in a fast way, but in a slow way. Of going into it, like I was telling you now, on Monday I have to go travel to Zimbabwe for a project, and I physically go with my team, and we spend 5 days with the client, not only visiting his site, understanding the culture, getting all these senses that they will be part of the innovation, but is the outcome of our thinking. So somehow I feel that the difference that we are making in what we do is not in the result of that could be innovative, but in the approach, because that approach of doing this, taking the time to go and feel things, it seems that it's more innovative than the approach that or the things that we do. And it doesn't make sense, At the end, this is companies somehow are losing the touch to the real world. They send us all the kinds of documents we go through, and it's very difficult to spot the opportunities through those lines. And then we always find opportunities when we go and visit. And I tell you a story that is interesting. Now we're doing a project in Cuba, and this is for the Ministry of Cuba. They wanted to create a new area or touristic area that is complementary to Varadero, which is a beach. And this is in an area of a river, and it has a jungle, etc., etc. Anyway, so what we did is travel to Cuba with our team and meet with their team, which were, the Cuban approach is very strong. We went into a theater, and I went into a theater, and there were about 40 people in a theater. So the client the team, the guy that was with us from the government, and I went into the theater and I sit in one of the seats because I thought that is going to come the minister and he was going to tell us what was the objective of the project. And I sit in one bench, in one row, sorry. And I said, no, come, you go in front. What do you mean I go in front? Yes, they want to talk. They want to hear you. They want to talk to you. So all of a sudden, I go into the theater talking to everyone from that area, which is a history teacher, the lady of the museum, the people from the city, all of these different fields, and each of them giving us a lot of information and discussing and so on. It was a great opportunity to talk to so many people and feel a passion about an area, how they transfer the area. So that was human approach, like talking to the people much deeper than just receiving a paper and, okay, I understand now. Yes, I read all the documents. What is this stuff? How come we are forgetting about spending time, having the energy and the dedication to go, why? So somehow this is part of the innovation, taking the time of going and talking and sitting with the people and smiling to them and believing in their field and appreciating what they do, and etc., etc. The second part is that this is a river that we have to activate. And we were going in the river visiting, and they were showing us, look at the birds, and look at the trees, and look at the tides, and this was a 40-minute trip. Anyway, after 40 minutes on a boat and going in a river, you get not bored, but it's basically the same. So I detected by taking this that you have to give a rhythm to the visit. So second part of the project, we start with the human. We went through in this time, I detected that it was boring. So we need to do rhythm. We have to do many things in this to activate it. And the third part, important part, is when we went down, during this trip, it was very formal. There were the guy of the birds. They were saying, look, this is the species we only have here in the area of Cuba, and blah, blah. And the other one, this is the cemetery of the Indians. And this, they were telling us, but very professional and very formal. So we went and we stopped with the boat, with the team. And we were taking pictures, doing drawings, and et cetera, et cetera. So we had to cross to the other side of the river, and there were these old little boats. So we started to cross. And also there was like a piece of wood that you can step on and go through a rope. Mm. Everyone at the time when people went into the boat or went into this contact with the water, they laugh. People started to take pictures and laugh. It was an amazing time. And all of a sudden, from being silent in the boat, very professional, everyone with their cameras, having fun. Look at this guy, and it was a really fun part. Mm. And then, again, we detected that the activation of the river, we had to activate the water, because actually the water was the key, not the land. So what does this mean at the end of the day? That innovation for us has to come from an approach of doing a more sensitive approach, a much more direct, get the feelings, invade us, and give us the answers, not a paper or somebody. Let's feel it. So this is one thing that I think the most important part of the innovation that we are doing, which is, it doesn't feel very innovative, no? Yeah, it's true. But many companies are not doing this. We're taking the time. Second part of the innovation is that as a team, we are a multifunctional team. We have architecture, we have industrial design, we have economists, we have engineers, we have storytellers. So I was able, through the funding of the project that we were doing, to catch people in the street. People that are like, they're interesting. And I said, look, would you like to be part of this, boat? And I said, well, but I don't know anything about your field. I know. You will learn. And I have people, working for more than 10 years with us. That they grew out of, they were born into this thing, so I was able to transfer this, and they get this appetite of getting and not doing the copy-paste, trying to get the feeling things, creating the right condiment for something that is then at the end, because the client says, I want something wow. I want something that the people will remember. I want it to be in Instagram. I want blah, blah, all of these things that we hear all the time. And I'm looking for real people who have senses. So it's a contradictory. I look for people that have a completely different feelings sometimes to the clients, because we are very normal people around, very down to earth. We like to laugh a lot, and we take very seriously what we do, but with trying to have a spirit of that the trip should be the one that gives you the answers, which we don't have at the beginning. The clients, they want to, I want this to do this and to do that. And then we said, no, you have to pay us to do something that we don't know yet what it's going to be. You have to trust in ourselves. And it's very difficult for this market. And this was my struggle to tell me, but okay, you want to get your fees and so on. And for what? What are you show me? I said, no, I need to work. So you said, I had to pay in advance for something that I don't know what I'm going to get. So imagine how difficult it was today, because we have some projects and we are talking to, luckily, business leaders. The difference is very simple. Not long ago, probably 10 or 12 years ago, 10 to 15 years ago, I was not able to pass the secretary. In reality, it's like, no, there is no time. Basically, no. Today, when I go into a place for a meeting, I have 20 people in the meeting taking notes, and of course, it's the top management level. And at the end of the day, sometimes it happens in the last trip, that the CEO of the company, said, I was walking and I was walking to the bathroom. He basically was walking to me. We came he was trying to tell me, because we need this, we want things, meaningful things. I remember he was telling me, trying to brainwash myself of what he needed in his company. And I said, okay, well, look, can I go to the bathroom? I was basically walking, he was following me. So that shows, not that we did, or we are, better than others. It's basically today market. It's a complete different market than 15 years ago. And we were lucky enough to be talking this Chinese language. Today, somehow, the Chinese language seems that people have started to get the feeling that they understand.
Yeah.
But this is the reality. The theleisureway as an innovation platform is making sure that what we do has a reason, a meaning. It's doable at the end, because it's not just a dream. It's something that has, and it's good for the client, and also it's good for the people that are going to use it. It's not just something that it will be a decoration or will be there for looking, because this was a real estate approach. We're going to reposition the asset, this shopping center. We are changing the floors, we are changing the facades, we are changing the ceilings. Oh, who cares? It's like, who cares? Who cares? And this was the repositioning. And then I said, no, but also we're going to reposition the brands, the same brands that the other. So the mission was to get the same brands by your competitor. So where is the innovation? What makes the difference? What makes the difference? So, the innovation, I think, is a word that sometimes we feel is very big for us. We try to be innovative, let's say. We try to think different, stay to our roots, and really provide value to the asset, of course, and to the people who are going to use. Because then this is the real value.
Yeah.
Real value.
So if you take this and look forward, so how do you think innovation and the way of leisure thinking and doing projects like you're doing is changing over time going forward from now on, with having the pandemic and having digitalization ramping up through the pandemic and so on?
First part of the innovation, I go from the basics to more complicated parts. From the basic is before, in the process of development, a real estate project, they were calling us at the end. We did this project, and then how can you spice it up? I said, well, look, it was very difficult, because basically this was not a DNA, that was not part of the master plan. So that the first step is today, luckily, many companies, towns, etc., are inviting us to work on the master plan, or from the master plan level. So that is because if this DNA that you want to introduce into the project is not well taken from the beginning, then you have a lot of restrictions.
Yeah.
Which is common sense at the end, but somehow we lost it in the way. How come this was not spotted many years ago, but it was not. So this is a good thing. We are today able to be part of this thinking from the beginning. Second evolution important is that when we sit, there are many different words and many different fields. It's not just one dictator that knows everything. So now we have the possibility of sharing different approach and trying to get the right story for that specific project, which is not the story that we built, that we all built. So that is so if we don't get the right basics, the master plan, the right story, the right teams, it's very difficult to follow on the innovation, because then the results will be contradictory. If you just go. So let's say this is another part of the evolution. And the last part of the evolution is that ourselves have more credit today to propose things that we were not able to propose before. Because people were just, no way, this is too much, or this is not going to be, it will take me forever to recover. And of course, you have the sustainable, the ecology, this, and you have all these words that they are trying to get in this bag, which at the end of the day, they add cost. And you have always the Excel sheet on the other side, trying to, and the guy is all of a sudden his perception of the project started to change, because he says, well, if we do this, what will be the result? And they don't have the security for that result. And we are trying to tell him, look, in the leisure way, at the leisure way, our only target that we have is to make people feel good. This is and one phrase that I said the other day, it's interesting, because I said spontaneously, there's no better marketing than making people feel good.
Absolutely.
Finish. There is no better marketing than making people feel good. I can talk to whoever marketing guru, but in reality, this is the one, because it's going to touch your heart, and this is where, whether if it's a product, a place, and so on. So, and I'm trying to raise the bar on my side with the developers to give the right importance, to try to let us innovate on the basis of course, giving us more room for this, in terms of the budget, in terms of the space, physical space, in terms of the thinking. We always said that for us, the leisure thinking should be on top. Then it comes the design, then it comes the tenants, then it comes the building itself, designing the building. But first is the leisure approach, which is making people feel good. And then this is the thing, then we will do the right building, we will do the right tenant mix, and we will do all these things that have to be in a development, which was not the case. This is in our world. We hope that one day, the market will really give this credit to what we do, that making people feel good is the most important thing, and is the only thing is going to give value to your asset.
Yeah.
I'm determined for this, and this is what kept me alive, even when when you're underwater and you're taking your your air from some other place, because I don't know. It's just maybe I'm too stubborn, but I really, I feel it in my soul that this is the way.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting. It's also relating to taking us back into your timeline, running a bar where you have the football tables in it. It's also making people feel good. So it's the same way of thinking, just in a different concept.
Not only this, it's like when I was telling you about the story about my father. He kicked me out of the company. Before he kicked me out, he gave me a project. He said, I want to export the football tables. And I said, okay. So I started to study the situation, and we started to do like a small catalog. And the first page, my father he was telling me that our football tables are made in aluminium, made with this, made with that, all this qualitative. And what I did, and then I asked the photographer to come, and I asked my brother and his friends to come. So what I did is I did it first. In this we're talking, I was nothing, no experience in nothing. But in the time, what I was able to convince my father to put in the front page, nothing about the product, but to have people playing, having fun, having a good time, which is the people, not the product. The people, not the asset. The people, not ourselves. What I want, because I think nothing. This or my wife or my family, all the time we are thinking, okay, we have our personal experience, but in reality, we had to all of us detect those key parts. So it goes really back into my roots of fighting with my father, telling him, forget about the product, forget about the assets, we focus on the people. Let's make them, and this is going to be the answer to our goals or questions, etc., etc.
Love it. It's such a pleasure to listen to you and the stories you tell. It's really interesting to see. And I mean, I've had the pleasure working with you. I was just checking it when I was preparing in 2014 in the Adigea project. That's where we met first time in person. It's quite a while ago already. I would like to transition now to getting to the end. So I'm always asking a couple of questions slightly out of context. So question number one is, if you would have the chance working with a project that is affecting every human being on Earth, what project would it be and why would you choose that project?
The only thing to change the world is through ideas. At the end of the day, it's like and somehow I feel that when you want to touch every person, you have to put something that people relate to, ideas, or it's like when writers, you write a book and this spreads its knowledge. So I think that I would like to work with the leaders of the world to introduce these ideas into people's lives. Whatever it is to work with an organization that goes country per country or city per city to see how we can improve from the perspective of making this life better for everyone, but not only. Of course, in some cases, it's the water that they need. But I see a lot of organizations working in that level of services. But then in the level of when you go out to the infrastructure, at the end of the day, there are some places where really I see that there is no the approach of the mayor of that town, for example, is not correct because he is investing money in things like the facades, in things that they are not bringing things for the people, and then these people leave to another town or they leave to the city, because it's not a place to provide time for you and have a good time, or the kids they are going away, or they are basically the kids are in trouble. Today, the biggest fight that we have, I think, is against the time, quality time. Everyone is focused on the social networks. This is a big impact. Instagram, Facebook, all of these social networks are what is commanding, a lot of people's lives and time. Time because you spend a lot of time going through these and connecting through Facebook and so on. So I want to work in an organization where we go in the physical networks, where people relate, where we really feel to each other and try to analyze from a perspective of how we're going to make people connect, not through a phone or a social network, on the physical, because this is what is the real difference. It's like how many friends you have, so I don't care, fucking friends, sorry for the word, or the friends of the Facebook, it's like the friends of who you are calling and you are grabbing your, so infrastructure of the physical contact. And I would like to see how we fight this stupidity of the world that we're getting into thinking that we have a life through the technology, and we are forgetting the other part. So this is you ask me a big question, I give you a bigger answer.
That's good.
No?
Super good.
Something like that. It's not only one project, it's a project of helping the world not to be so disconnected physically, more in the pandemic, because now, is the moment that you need to be close, not to be away. I hate this thing. People are yesterday I was in the tram and the lady was trying to get all the time farther from me. I was with my mask and everything. It's like, but the lady is so. I hate it. I feel that somehow we need to recuperate the values of people getting closer. And I saw some effects. We all saw that we talked to the neighbor because we didn't have anyone. So since we didn't have any chance, we talked to the neighbor. Okay, great. Yeah. Okay, maybe this is a starting point of thinking that, the technology has a moment and a time, but should not conquer our lives somehow. So this is an organization that probably someday I would like to be part of fighting and do work on the physical networks, not the social networks.
Love it. So next question is, where will you be in a year from now? And you can answer that personally and or business or both.
In a year?
Yeah.
I always said I don't know where I'm going to be in the next month because I travel so much. But I think in a year from now, I know a couple of things. I've been telling myself I have to change. So this is the reality. I have to, since I'm coming 50, I'm doing my checklist. And this is in September. I'm doing my checklist. What did I accomplish? What did I didn't accomplish? And so on. Of course, the bigger dreams, I didn't conquer any of them. None of them. I conquer only one by accident, which is I'm in love with what is happening around myself today. So with my family, I had my first kid when I was 45, which I was already, my father said, Gastón, you're not going to have a family, you're out of the market. So somehow I worked it out in the last, my wife believed in me and we had a beautiful child and I'm in love with that situation. After 40, I was able to do something that I like. So and then I hope to be in the same place. For first time in my life, it's like I like this place. I like my family. I like what I do. It's not I'm looking for something new. I want to just. And at one point, I thought I was going to move, and I may have to move because we are getting a lot of demand from the Middle East, and I may have to spend more time there than in Spain. But this is at the end doesn't change anything because I'm doing the same things with my family. I'm not going to leave my family. So maybe I'm going to spend more time in the Middle East because working-wise, Europe is sleepy. It's not yet into the level. It comes at a slower pace. And in the Middle East, there is a lot of action. And, I'm a warrior. I like to be in the middle of the war. I cannot be at home all the time waiting for things to come to me. I knock the doors and I try to open the rooms for what we do and talk to whoever is necessary to make things. So maybe it will happen that we'll spend more time in the Middle East, but for sure it's going to be, with my wife, watching my kid and trying to. The last part that I said to me is like, I need to do other things than work. I have the family. I have the work. I'm happy. But then on Gastón level, I'm not doing many things for, maybe this is, I need to find some other things to do, a hobby or something, I don't know, or having the time for that too. Sometimes I postpone many of the things I wanted to do because I have to travel or because of my kids. That's a normal thing. I wanted to start to do rowing. And I said already, going to rowing is going to take the whole morning of Saturday. I'm traveling, so my kid is going to be, I said, well, maybe the rowing next time. So I had to choose. But hopefully I do something for my personal time. But it's nothing to do with my family and my business.
Okay, cool. So last bigger question. How do you keep yourself informed? What are the different sources and information topics you basically take with you on your journey? Where are the things you build your thoughts on?
I read a lot, but I read a lot of stupid things. This is my wife says, you are an idiot. You read stupid things all the time because she reads a lot of books. And I go home and I wanted to somehow I tried to get my mind out of the projects, out of this, and I started to look things that are nonsense because they're not giving me any knowledge. But I need that because I want to just forget.
Good job.
Yeah, exactly. I need to go through, like, I had a friend that is a chef, and he loved to go to places to eat, greasy things and this. I said, why? Because, if you lose the contact, if you're thinking on these special things, you need to go into stupid things too. Stupid things, they have a value in your life. So the knowledge, I think, is through people, in reality, more and more and more. Is talking people like you, talking to my clients. Now we have an idea of contacting. This comes from the Cuban. When I went to Cuba, I started to talk to a guy that was doing history, a guy that was part of the government. So I started to talk to people, and they were not the usual normal people that I talked to, and they were giving us a lot of information and thoughts. So I want to continue that journey of trying to explore more different people different of what my speech is, different to what the client says. Why not to talk to a priest, and ask him what he thinks, or a chef, that's, imagine, what's the relation of the leisure way with the chef? Because when you're eating, I was explaining to one of my colleagues why we need to talk to a chef, because what is more important when you gather around food, the people or the food? I don't know. What do you get? You remember the bite, but you also remember the talks that you have with your friends and so on. So that moment around the food. So I want to talk to the chef to tell me what is his opinion around the moments around the food. So this is, I think, the source of information that I started to dream I should catch to get my sources of knowledge. Aside of what the travels and that we do, that talking to different people to give me different approach, and then grow internally my thinkings to then apply it to specific projects.
Yeah, I love that. I will follow that if you share that with others as well.
I'm trying to see. That's the thing is I need to find we're trying to, in these companies you try many things and you accomplish two.
Yeah, that's how it is. Cool. So how can people find you? How can people reach out to you?
Well, it's very easy. There's my mobile is 00346678 348. This is one thing. Second is they can go into look, this is great. I should show it to you. Oh no, I have a card. I was in because it's about reaching. I was in Jeddah. We're doing a project in Jeddah. So what we did in Jeddah, this project is outside of Jeddah. So what I went and I spent 3 days in the old town of Jeddah, which is lovely. But the really old town where I have the butcheries and this. And I get a hotel in the middle. I said, you're crazy. So I went in, I said, no, I want to stay there. So I started to have tea and talk to people. And this is the exploration trip, which is the fun, which we are going to do now in Zimbabwe. So I went into a tea shop, ordered tea, and somebody here, I was with a colleague talking in English, so he asked me, where are you from, and so on. And at the end of the day, he then said, you should try this. Didn't look that good. You should try this because it's a local pastry and so on and so on. Okay. Of course, we tried the pastry because and he gave me a card. And I didn't pay attention about the card. Somebody gives you a business card.
Yeah.
The guy, then he said goodbye. When I was going to pay the pastry and the tea, he already paid for it. But his card, the main thing he had is his name on the phone, and he said, your call made me happy. Your call made me happy. Because we are not calling people. We are sending emails, we are WhatsApp, we are not calling. Your call made me happy. And I said, I should copy this. I should put this because I think people should call each other, talk to each other. So they can reach me and they can, if they want to know who we are or what we do, is of course, theleisureway.com is our web.
Yeah.
And we try to be always physically connected to people or conferences and areas where we can spread the word and And then my marketing manager says, don't say it, because this is not the proper way to explain what we do. But I said, what we do is making people feel good at the end of the day. And he said, but this is not what we do much more. Okay, yes, but this is the way I say it. That's okay. And at the end, the value is there. The value is there.
Yeah. Awesome. It was a pleasure talking to you. Pleasure having you on my show, Gastón. Really, really big thank you for spending so much time with me and taking your time off the busy day. Thank you very much.
Please. Thank you to you. It's my first podcast, so for me, I was worried about this. I tried to prepare on myself, but then at the end of the day, you cannot prepare. It's just basically a nice conversation that we had, and hopefully we have other conversations. They don't have to be recorded, but we can have many conversations, because I think you also have, as I said, I would like your thoughts to be transferred to what we do. You have a much deeper knowledge of innovation that we need to learn from, and to see how we not become vintage, and we want it to be all the time thinking properly. And so it's always good to have someone that is hearing if you're repeating too much yourself, if you're going in the right direction. So most probably we will exchange more ideas.
Yeah, super. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jen.